The Controlled Drugs and Substances Act provides for extensive list of prohibited drugs. Among them, we notably find cannabis, cocaine, methamphetamines, GHB, etc. The possession of these drugs, just like the sale, production, and importation of them, are viewed as criminal acts in the eyes of the law. In criminal law, the indigenous and the non-indigenous are subject to the same rules. An act considered to be criminal for a non-indigenous also qualifies as a criminal act for an indigenous person. The legal proceedings are also the same. True or false? I have the right to have in my possession 5 grams of pot. False. The law forbids the possession of drugs. Pot is one of them. A person commits a criminal offense as soon as he has in his possession a drug, regardless of the quantity. On April 13, 2017, the federal government tabled a bill to decriminalize the possession of cannabis. The government has set the date of October 17, 2018 for the coming into force of the Cannabis Act. From now until then, the possession of cannabis remains illegal. True or false? I can drive after having consumed marijuana. False. The criminal code prohibits any person from driving a vehicle while his ability to operate the vehicle is impaired by alcohol or a drug. A person who isn't driving but has possession and control over his vehicle, for example, is sitting in the driver's seat with the keys in the ignition when his ability had been impaired by a drug, also commits a criminal offense in the same way as if he had consumed alcohol. Traffic means to sell, administer, give, transfer, transport, send, or deliver a drug. In other words, the offense of trafficking consists in having the drug circulate. A person can therefore commit a drug trafficking offense by giving, for example, a joint to a friend. A person can be accused of possession for the purpose of trafficking if he is in possession of the object leading one to think that he has committed this offense. For example, detaining a large quantity of drugs individually wrapped, a scale, or a wad of cash. Attention! The law provides for stiffer penalties for persons who traffic drugs in a public place normally frequented by persons of less than 18 years of age or in close proximity to such places. The production of drugs is the act of, among other things, manufacturing, cultivating, or harvesting an illicit substance. For example, it is the act of growing marijuana plants or manufacturing synthetic drugs in a kitchen. Another way of procuring the drug consists in importing it. Importation consists in having drugs enter into Canada. Exportation consists in having drugs leave Canada for another destination. Youth having had brushes with the law have what we call a youth record. It contains information on the adolescent and on his previous exposure to the law and court case history. Contrary to adult records, those of youth are kept confidential. The records are not accessible by the public and can only be consulted by certain persons concerned. Even if the youth record is confidential, an employer, a school, a customs officer can ask the youth if they have a criminal history. A youth who has been found guilty of an offense and who has not yet finished serving his sentence must answer yes. Therefore, the youth record does have consequences. The youth record becomes inaccessible after a certain time, depending on the offense and the punishment imposed. The length of time can vary depending on whether an extrajudicial sanction or a guilty verdict was handed down following a trial. The youth record is not erased at age 18. It remains accessible if needed by the authorities. Attention! If an adolescent commits a new offense while he is an adult, his youth record will appear in his adult criminal record, which remains accessible to the public. An adult who is recognized as guilty of an offense obtains a criminal record. This criminal record contains information on both himself and on the offense. In Canada, the criminal record of an adult is public. All persons therefore have access to a criminal record without too much formality. Even after having served a sentence, a person's criminal record continues to have many impacts on his life. It can make it difficult to access certain professions, it can even complicate foreign travel, and it can even increase your insurance premiums. The criminal record is not erased, does not disappear, but it can become inaccessible under certain conditions. To do this, the adult must make a record suspension request, which we used to call an application for pardon. A person must meet several criteria before being eligible to make this request. The procedure can take long and cost a lot of money.